Assetto Corsa Simulator is getting the Porsche special content this year. First pack is already available and many more cars will be available before the year's end. So that's why we are here with Marco once again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for coming. This is a very special day for us, not just for the event itself, because we have already 2 events here in Vallelunga, but this is our first one in a very strong connection with a car manufacturer that is, as you can see, Porsche. And the fact that this car, that is the original Le Mans winning car of 2015, is the proof that we have a strong partnership with Porsche. This car is coming just from the museum, and in the other box there are other 2 masterpieces. And also here you can see the official Porsche simulators that are part of the partnership and agreement we made with Porsche. With the event of today, we want to share with all the gamers, through you like journalists, the chance to see in real life and in first person how deep is the connection between the real world, Porsche, and the virtual world that is Kunos Simulazioni. The fact that we have a simulation today performing the Porsche cars that have been and are still under exclusive with electronic cars means that the engine under the hood in Assetto Corsa in terms of handling, physics, and the overall package convinced the Porsche that there was the perfect choice for them to share with all their customers, all their fans, the most real virtual experience that is possible today.
Tell us a bit more on what it means for you as a small studio to have this. And you started working a year ago, but I think it started before, right?
We started to work together, me and Stefano, mainly in 2005. So now we are more than 11 years that we work together. And for a little studio like us, it's a privilege to have been chosen by a great manufacturer like Porsche to represent their cars. This year has been very, very important. This is our greatest year because we achieved a very good level of refinisher of the PC version of Assetto Corsa that has a very huge community now on Steam, on the forums, and on Facebook. And this year we also has released the console version on Xbox and PlayStation 4. That for a little team like us, we employ in total 30 persons, but the core team is just 12 persons. Has been a really huge process, maybe a little too huge, but at the end we did it. And we did it keeping the same level of the experience also for the console version. And we are so proud that also the console gamers has the chance to drive the cars and the Porsche cars in Assetto Corsa like the real ones. For us it's very important because it's not a matter of to know the right people and so on, but it's because there is a good job made behind to make Assetto Corsa like it is today. We always been focused on the realism, on the handling, on the driving experience. So we could be lack in some ways in our game because we are anyway a studio that is, I think, 10 times little than any other. But we have a very strong community that gave us the good criticism and also the support needed to create an experience like this.
You mentioned during the conference that it's more than data that Porsche has shared with you to make the simulation more realistic, to make the tires model work better. How exactly did you collaborate on the simulation aspect to get the thing exactly as it is?
Yeah, as you can see, we have 2 Porsche simulators here that are the official Porsche simulators that Porsche has located in Le Mans, in the Nürburgring, and in their factory, in their Porsche Experience Centers, where their test drivers and professional drivers work every day. And they cooperated with us every day during the process of development. They are also in our beta testing team on Steam, so that we allowed them to try the progress, the cars during the order process, and this also gave us the proper feeling and the proper feedback while we were in development, in order to arrive at the release date with the best Porsche pack we are able to ship. So is not just a matter of data, but is a matter of daily comparison between us and them, in order to work on the cars every day together. It happens very rarely, actually, with the car manufacturers, because you can imagine that they try to keep for themselves the most sensible data. Porsche is working really strongly with us because they want to provide the same virtual experience to their customers. To do that, they need the perfect match between the graphics and the physics and the sounds, and helping us to develop the car as they want. We have achieved these results.
You also mentioned that you took this as a challenge. Both Porsche and you mentioned this during the conference, that you worked as a challenge to get where?
The challenge is that when you reproduce, for instance, the graphics model, and you believe that okay, we did it as we need. So let's bring the car in the submission process. And they came back with a lot of feedback about the cars, because there is the basic version of the car, but if you go online on the Porsche configurator, you start from the standard model, and you can find for each model, I think, dozen and dozen optionals. And the marketing team asked us to reproduce for each car those optional, those kind of lights, those kind of interiors. That is a huge process for us, because sometimes it is also required to change or completely change some details. But the final result has been even much better. We are very proud of this, and now we are very strong and trained to support the needs of Porsche.
What can you tell us about the console version specifically, which launched in August? How are you trying to improve that? And of course, the Porsche pack is coming out in December, I think.
Will come on, I think, hopefully next week, the Porsche Pack 1. We have a slight delay between the PC version and the console version because of the process of approval for Sony and Microsoft. But we'll have the Porsche Pack next week. In terms of physics, we needed to make some changes some improvements to the physics model of the console version in order to support some specific features of the cars, including the Porsche Pack 1, like the 4 steering wheels of the 911 Carrera S, or the hybrid system for this car that will arrive next month, and so on. So we had an improvement process also in terms of general optimization on the console version. We also are updating it to the new F-mode version that has, I don't know if you have already tried the PC version, but the improvements with the new library of F-mode has been very, very high. And we are very happy because now you can hear really everything about the cars, about the tires, and it's very also useful for the driving, because the car is, thanks to the sound, is even more communicative. And also when you watch a replay, it's much more nice, also not just to watch, but also to hear. And the same improvements will arrive on console very soon. And also in terms of general optimization of the game on console, we are working on the private lobbies and on the championships that will arrive next year, in order to give a better experience, because maybe the career mode in Assetto Corsa, where you can find all the content already unlocked, probably doesn't fit perfectly with our kind of game, because you don't need to race to unlock cars. But a championship is much more better, because you can choose one car, choose your championship, the tracks you want to race in, the kind of score, and so on. And you can have a very overall experience with each single car. That we believe that it perfectly matches the philosophy behind Assetto Corsa, where you can drive any model you like without the need to unlock them. But a championship gives much more sense when you want to compete in a complete championship.
Now that you mentioned the career mode, what about the artificial intelligence? Are you working into that? Because at launch it sounded like sometimes there were some peaks of difficulty, like it was impossible to win, and then...
We have seen, sadly, that in the console version we made a bad balance of the artificial intelligence in terms of how was it challenging. Because also in the easy mode was very hard to catch them also in the special events. So we have added two new levels, and we have calibrated it much more better in order to help also people that gamers that play with a gamepad to can stay with AI, artificial intelligence and have more fun. And this has been the first task. And the process of improvements of artificial intelligence never ends, actually, because there is always margin of improvement. It's so complex, and it's so difficult to match any kind of gamer. Because what Assetto Corsa does differently than other games, that the artificial intelligence uses the same physics of the driver. That means that they can't prevent to crash into you if you cut the line and you are so close to them, because they need the proper space to brake. If you don't left them enough space to brake, they will hate you. It's something that is different than any other game that has maybe a simpler approach on this, but we felt that giving the same level of difficulty to the artificial intelligence give you the feeling that you are not competing against the computer but against other people. That by this point of view works very well, but actually we needed to calibrate it in order to make it more reasonable for the gamers that are trying to approach now on Assetto Corsa are not experienced users.
And speaking of consoles, what about the PS4 Pro? Are you taking any advantage of the new hardware? And what about the PSVR? Because of course you have Oculus and HTC Vive.
On the PC version we support the VR, and hopefully in the future we also support the HTC Vive. On the PlayStation VR at the moment there are no plans for it, because the problem of the VR is that you need a very clean definition and resolution, because you need to look very far for the breaking point, for the good lines, for driving and so on. We believe that at the moment with a game like Assetto Corsa, when the driving you need to be very focused. The performance of the PlayStation VR is not enough, at least for us. And also there is the problem of the sickness that is very difficult to prevent. On PS4 Pro we are still waiting to see how things are figured out, because we see that other games, not necessarily racing games, but some games have some problems in terms of performance or resolution with the PS4 Pro. We heard about that. We are still figure out how the console work, and the idea is that to provide a patch also to support the PS4 Pro in order to get a better frame rate, and also to perform a better anti-aliasing, anisotropic filter, and so on.
I'm sure everyone keeps asking about this. It's a cloudy day. Might be raining later, so are we getting any rain to Assetto Corsa?
Absolutely. It's a bit a pity that today is not raining, because we could show you how it's boring to drive on the track when it's raining, because you can't push the cars on the limits.
But what about the strategy when it's a real race? Then raining is important.
Definitely yes, we agree with that. The reason why we don't have the rain in Assetto Corsa, and we will not have the rain in Assetto Corsa, is that when we started the project, we started it in 5 people with a budget of 70,000 euro in total. You can see how Assetto Corsa today is a huge game. But at that time, we needed to make some choices. And to understand it, to decide what we can bring in and what we need to bring out of the game, because there was enough time, enough people, and enough money to do everything. To make the raining or the weather condition in Assetto Corsa will be easy by a point of view if you make it easier. I mean, if you just grab part of the grip on the road and that's it. It's not the way how we can do it in Assetto Corsa, because the game is so... The realism and the handling of the cars is so complex, and actually the immersion is so good that if you now, today, you create a simple raining model for Assetto Corsa, will be more disappointing rather than satisfying. It's something that at 100% will take in consideration, as well as the night condition for Assetto Corsa 2 or Assetto Corsa whatever it will be. It's something that today, after the game is already in development by 4 years, we can't put this very heavy feature at this point of the development. That's the only reason.
Okay, closing one. You just mentioned a potential Assetto Corsa 2 in the future, but now you're launching more DLC, the special Porsche pack this very year. So what's next? What can we expect? More content being dropped to Assetto Corsa, or perhaps considering a sequel or a second entry?
At least for also next year, we'll support the game actively with the championships, with the private lobbies, and with new content, not just DLC, but also bonus content. We are already working on a new fictional scenario that we believe that we love it because it's good for everyone, because we don't want to tell you a lot about it because it's a surprise, but we'll meet the expectation of different kind of users and sim racers. And we have announced also the Laguna Sega integration next year. We have just signed an agreement to include also the new Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. That is one of the most wanted cars for next year. And I think that we have about 30 new cars in development now, except for the Porsche. So that also next year you will have a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for your time, Marco.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.